Hey everyone, that is us live. How's everybody doing? Hi Mendy,
Hi, Chris. Hi, everybody.
how are you doing?
I am good. I just realized I did not have I had private chat on, so I couldn't see people. Oh, there they are. Okay.
I've got the YouTube open on my other screen, so I'm going to get through this just now. Whilst we've got a relatively manageable crowd, and I'm going to say hello to all the names that are there. So we've got Robin from Toadstool Tarot. Hi Robin. We've got Jackie Jacaranda. We've got Ishay. We've got Sandra from Whispering Well. We've got Sue and Justin, Kristen. Who else have we got? I saw Debbie there, Debbie from Aquarius Owl. Hi, Debbie. And Sorsha's here. Hi, Sorsha. How are you? And Jen from Jen's Science to Soul Tarot and Transformation. And we've got the Stash himself, the lovely Gerald. Hi, Gerald. How are you? We've got Lotus Dancer. We've got Elaine from Celtic Root Tarot. We've got Naomi and Deanne from Blue Crescent Tarot, the lovely Jamie from Wandering Mountain Verdict Path. We've got V Kestrel. I'm working up now, so I'm going up because it jumped. Um, I think I've met myself in the middle, and then we've got lovely Simon is here who had his caps locks on. I don't see you shouting at us, Simon, so you're all good. Oh, I see it. Hey guys. Um, yeah, I think that's. Oh, Claudia. Hi, Claudia. So, hi everyone that's here. Welcome to everyone who, if it's your first time here, because I do see a couple of names that I don't recognise. So it's lovely to see you here, and I hope you enjoy it today. Um, what we're going to be doing is we're going to be doing a wee reading for the lovely Mendy, who's been kind enough to join me. So, Mendy, do you want to tell us? Well, first of all, what you've been up to, and have you got any kind of juicy chat for us?
Oh, I don't know if I have juicy chat. I have been really focused, since focus is my word of the year, on my mindset 2021 and trying to get organized and stay focused, stay in my lane on the things. However, I did take a deviation and started kind of out of the blue with Chris Yao, the a monthly rune study group that we just kicked off this week,
Nice.
that's totally Chris Yao's project, but I just got a wild hair and decided I was going to jump in and help him kick that off. So been working on that, and that's really about it. Getting in the last couple decks that I bought from last year because the mail was slow, but I haven't really ordered anything new other than I did order a couple little things from my husband for Valentine's Day because I figure I take Masha's approach to my depth year in allowing for gifts. And
Yeah. Well,
Robin says not runes, Lenormand. Hey, Robin, I
oh,
was actually going to message you because yeah, we can work on something with Lenormand if you want.
right, okay.
We can
So
definitely do
tell me, when is your you said you're looking at runes. When is it that you're doing that?
So we are doing that. We just had our first meeting on Tuesday, and we're going to do the third Tuesday of every month. So just once a month,
Hmm.
doing a Zoom. I was surprised at how many people were interested. We had 9 people from a group of, I think, about 15 or 17
Right,
that
cool.
showed interest come. And then recording the Zoom and just making it available I'm not making it public on my channel. It's available privately for the small group.
Okay, cool.
Since it's a kind of a closed conversation, but not
Yeah,
everybody
yeah.
can be there every month. So, but it's
Right,
very casual.
that's nice. And what time is it that you're doing it at?
It is at 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, third Tuesday of the month. So if anybody's interested, message me on Facebook.
Yeah,
I'll get you in the group.
yeah, cool. As you're probably just past my bedtime there, so yeah.
Yeah, I know.
So,
It
but
was I know. I realized the timing was not great for, our European friends, but
Yeah, but I mean, to be fair, like everybody kind of like tries to work around like time zones and all that kind of thing so much. Like, and you guys over there all put in so much an effort to make sure that the stuff that you're doing we can participate in. So to be honest, I would never, I would never kind of complain or anything like that.
yeah.
Um,
When you're
yeah, no,
dealing with
that's
a
pretty
global
cool.
community, it's hard to get it right for everybody every time.
Definitely. You're trying to negotiate your way around different lives, other groups, people's time zones. It's like an impossible task. So no, that's really good. That sounds exciting, and I hope that it's you enjoy it.
Yeah.
So I've had some other people pop in, so I'll just say a quick hello. So the lovely Elle is here. Hi Elle. Jonathan Daly, Jonathan. We've got Malamir's popped in. Hi Malamir, how are you doing, lovely? I think I saw Justin.
Yeah.
Diane from Wood Thrush Cottage.
Yeah, Diane's in our room group.
Yeah,
She was there.
right, okay,
Oh,
cool.
and I also want to do like a huge shout out. I got a past lives reading yesterday from Jonathan, because I've been interested in past lives reading, and I was telling him I've got all these decks for past lives, but I haven't explored it to do it
Yeah.
myself yet. So I got one from him, and it was great. I've been thinking about it all day. It was actually just about 24 hours ago, almost 24 hours ago, and I've been thinking about it all day. So, hats off to Jonathan. He's a great reader, and I highly recommend him.
Brilliant. Excellent. There you go. Hit up Jonathan Daly, people, for your past live readings. Um, right, if I've missed any, I got Jamie because I remember saying that name without stuttering, which was an achievement. Um, yeah, if I've missed anyone, then apologies. So we're obviously here to do a wee reading for Mendy. Now, so one of the something I want to kind of talk through is the spread, because I've kind of rejigged the Celtic cross to suit the question that you've put. So first things first, why don't you tell everybody that's in the room what your question is that you're bringing, and then we can pull. I'll shuffle the soul cards whilst you're talking about it.
Okay, so the question, and I sent this to Chris before I had my reading with Jonathan, and it kind of almost goes along with some of the stuff that we discussed. So I like the synchronicity of it, but it's broader. And it's who am I meant to be to reach my fullest potential? So what is, and to give a little background, I did a reading the beginning of 2020. It was early, first week of January, with Benabel Wen. And she spent a lot of time telling me that 2020 was a preparation year for me, that this was going to be a year for me to kick off the second half of my life. And that it was going to be completely different than the first half of my life. And it was really where I was going to be, I don't want to say my most productive, but my most authentic self of who I am, and really do the things that were going to be most meaningful over the course of my whole life, if that makes sense. That's kind of a long-winded way of saying it. That I was headed into a very important part of my life, is what she was basically saying. And she said I needed to prepare. I needed to make a map. She kept saying it was my mapping year, that I needed to map out what I was going to be doing moving forward. And I feel like I did some of that last year, but I've been kind of in the dark with what direction I was supposed to go in. So when I contacted Chris and told him I wanted to do this because I really love this whole format he has going on, that's the question that came to me, is who am I meant to be to actually reach that potential that Benabel Wen talked about a year ago? Because now I'm supposed to be actually engaging. Last year was my prep year, and then this is when I was supposed to be engaging.
Yeah.
And I don't know if I'm doing that right now. So that's my question.
Okay. So, who is the best Mendy?
Yeah, pretty much.
Excellent.
Who's the best me?
Yeah, cool. Okay. So I'll pull a wee soul card first, and it would help at this point if I actually had the table cam up and running. add it to stream. Let's get the format right. We don't want my face. We want, that's what we want. Okay, we're sorted, right? So first thing we're going to do, guys, it's the same as always, but for anyone who it's their first time here, I'm going to pull one soul card. Now, if you've not used soul cards before, there's no kind of aligned interpretations. There's no set definitions or anything like that. Everyone will look at a soul card and see something slightly different, and one person will look at a soul card and see something different depending on what the question is. So I'm going to pull a soul card, and just in relation to Mendy's question, I'm interested in what we all see. All right. So, okay. Interesting.
Yeah.
So let me just, first of all, I'll hold it up closer to the camera so that you can all kind of get a proper good look at what we're looking at here. I'm trying not to have the light bouncing off it too horrifically. So there appears to be like a really kind of obvious face and what appears to be quite a cloudy sky screaming. There's like a portal or some sort of kind of fiery portal where the mouth is. And then we've got these lovely kind of purples and greens in the mountains down below, or at least that's what I tend to see when I look at that. So yeah, it's interesting. What strikes me about this card is the stark difference between what's happening up in the air and what's happening down on the ground. On the ground seems to be this lovely blend of colours, these purples and greens, and purples and greens. That how someone looks at that, I think, is going to it's going to be an individual thing because they are quite. They're not opposite colours, but they are quite clashy colours. They don't. They've got blue in common, but they kind of they kind of stand out. So you tend to use colours that stand out from each other when you want to kind of draw attention. This is what I learned in art. So you're looking at mainly opposite colours for that kind of thing. So red and green are opposite colours, and that's we associate that with Christmas. Blue and orange are opposite colours, and then yellow and purple are opposite colours. But then you get combinations like this that to me are quite stand out as well. So I look at that and I really enjoy the way that looks, but some of you might think that looks absolutely horrific. So I'm interested in what everybody thinks about just the use of colour, first of all. The fact that the ground, the earth, is so kind of, for me, tranquil, suggests that, in the physical life, if we relate it to the elements and what we kind of tend to symbolise them as, when you think about physical life, that seems to, the ducks seem to be in a row and that seems to be in order. It's what's going on, in the air, i.e. in like kind of the head and the thought processes. We associate it as well with kind of tackling our own shadow self or ego, or all of the kind of the shadow work that we need to do. That for me really kind of links in with air. So it's that kind of stuff. It's very much the up in the head stuff. The material stuff is looking good, but up in the head, that's maybe where we want to kind of work in order to bring out the best Mendy. That's just how I would read that.
Yeah,
Mendy, what are your thoughts?
I love purple and green together.
Right,
Yeah, that's a color combination. Those are my two favorite colors. Not always together, but those are my two favorite colors.
right.
And Ishi said something right off the bat that I really resonated. It said, she said, it looks like Mendy might be finding strength in her voice to overcome mountains where mountains have been obstacles.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, I see that as like really kind of overpowering of the earthy elements or the mountains.
Yep. Yeah. Okay.
And somebody else said something.
Please, Sasha. Sorry, this is just quickly. This is Soul Cards 1 and Soul Cards 2. It's actually two different decks, but I put them together and work with them as one deck. Sorry, I'm still getting used to what camera to use for what. So that's the deck there. It's by Deborah Koff-Chapin. Both of them are by Deborah Koff-Chapin.
Amazing.
So that's what you're looking for there.
Interesting. Spiritually, me says it makes them uncomfortable. I don't find
Right.
that uncomfortable, actually. I don't. I find it powerful, but not uncomfortable.
Yeah. Don't shout over the mountain, you might just choke on your own potential. Fair enough, Robin. Jonathan says it's almost like the scream
Oh
is the
yeah,
light for the land below.
yeah. That was the other comment I was looking for. I didn't.
Right, right, yeah. It's an interesting thought, that, because when you think of screaming, we tend to think of being in a difficult situation, like things for me. If I'm in a situation where I'm screaming, then it's getting almost as bad as it can get. But if we're thinking about, I mean, what is that? Is it like you need to kind of almost get to the bottom before you can start climbing up to the top again? I don't know. It's an interesting thought.
Yeah. It's was it? Yeah. Scorcha says primal scream. Like a
Yeah.
mom is doing as she gives birth. Yes, it's kind of like that release. That's what I get from it.
Right.
Less of a you know, an angry scream or a negative scream, but
Hmm.
more of a powerful scream.
Yeah. Okay. Um, Kristen, the creation of a universe and the mouth, which is a great creation, but the person is frightened or overwhelmed by it. Okay. Um, so I think we're talking about the deck. Um, Purple is power and ambition, also creativity and wisdom. Um, Justin says, Mendy, you are the moon, you control the tides, you are a mystic. The moon is the moon. The moon doesn't have to be anything else.
So, Justin, are you seeing the purple and the green as water, not mountains? I'm curious because now that he says that, I'm looking at it and I'm thinking
Yeah, I know what
it
you mean. Yeah,
could be waves.
it could be quite choppy waves, couldn't it? In which case, this whole face you could look at that and see the moon.
Yeah. I
That's really interesting, actually, isn't it? Because
because
yeah,
it looked like mountains until I just read
yeah,
Justin's comment.
yeah, yeah. He says yes as water. Right, okay. Um, I see the I see the grey as the base, and it's like the moon is giving birth from her mouth. Right. Um, Malamir, yeah, I agree. There's a relationship with exploring shadow work to free Mendy's voice and creativity, allowing for a new level of expansion. Okay. Um, oh, sorry, Robin. Maybe you did remove it, and I see on my StreamYard chat it doesn't remove your comments, so I can still see what you're up to, even if you delete them. So I've maybe just not realised you've removed it. Sorry. Um,
Sue, that's a good point. Sue said that it's green and purple um, make her think of thistle, which is beautiful, but
oh
can be
yeah,
a touch.
yeah, yeah, definitely. Um, that's how one of the kind of battles between Scotland and England. That was how the English get caught, which is what the song "The Flower of Scotland" is about. Did you know that?
Yeah. Yeah.
So that's cool. So it's almost as if the moon is feeling pain through trying to release the amount of energy through its mouth. Um, the images are quite dark. It's not that things are dark. Um, Kristen says, have you ever screamed at the top of a mountain? It's a visceral connection to something greater than yourself.
Yeah.
Um, the fire that is coming seems powerful. Yeah, it does, doesn't it? So let's just kind of take a really close look at that. So you can kind of see teeth all the way around, and then there seems to be like a kind of core in there, doesn't there? There seems to be like a kind of an energy core that's, you know,
Yeah.
is
I didn't.
Gained or released.
teeth in there. That's kind of creepy now that you hold it up close.
I think that's quite a cool image.
Now Jonathan sees the ocean too. See, it's funny how we all just saw mountains and then Justin said water, and now
it takes for one person to say it, and then it's like one of those things you can't unsee.
yeah.
Thistle, and then see, that's the thing with soul cards. We'll all see different things, and as I said earlier, we'll see different things each time that we look at the images, depending on our life states. Definitely.
Ma'am, you said you see a flower in the mouth. You think it's not teeth, that's a flower? That's interesting. That's less creepy than
Deanne says a creation vibe reminds me of giving birth, as others have said. Mountains can be like the sea. They move slower over longer periods of time and are controlled by the earth. That's a good point, actually.
Yeah.
When you try and swallow the sun, no one gets the advantage of your light. Never hold back your heartfelt feelings. And then the moon is monthly, as in women's menstrual rhythms. There's something about being in touch with nature.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. I can see the ocean there now. And the face is a sea goddess or god whipping up a storm. Kristen sees teeth. Amy sees a flower. Sorcerer says it's like a mandala.
Elle, I didn't see you come in, but you mixed up pomegranate. I don't know how you could possibly mix up pomegranates and grapefruits. They're like two totally different fruit.
Where do you see yourself in this image, Mendy? Observer of the oncoming face, the face itself, the light breaking out, the mountainous landscape. So Sue's interested in where you actually see yourself in that image.
So my first hit on that card was the face, was me.
Right.
You know, I see the human-ish figures in these cards generally as the querent, and that was my first hit on it. I don't know if, studying it longer, if I would get different feelings, but that's my first feeling from it.
Yeah. Cool. That makes sense. Sue sees it as a star. Saucer says, Ellie, don't mix up your fruits. Currently listening to the Young Wizards book series, and something that resonates with that card is that everything has a kernel. Its complete essence. We are getting a peek at the kernel. So, am I right in thinking the kernel is like your shell that you shed, isn't it? It's like the
Or is it the kernel or the seed? Like, well, I mean, is the kernel's what encases the seed?
Yeah. Let's see. Interesting. Okay. I think this is a question that's important for us all. It's, in a sense, our life's purpose to discover who we truly are, not to try who we are supposed to be. Try to be who we are supposed to be. Yeah. Sometimes it's a painful thing to let your light show, and that's the main message I'm getting from this card. Yep. Okay. Okay, Elaine, I wonder if it could be breaking free from the status quo with the mountains as the stable norm. Okay. Cool. So if we've got time at the end, we'll come back and see if we've got any different feelings on the soul cards following the tarot spread that we'll do. Now, first of all, the deck that I've chosen to use, Mendy. Now, I'm sorry, but I couldn't do a full-on Marseille because we've been using like full illustrated decks, but as a compromise, you'll probably guess, I have chosen to use the Tarot de Marseille way.
I was hoping you use the what's your favorite deck? The
The Ugg boots.
light spears.
No,
Because I
no.
use the light spears. Okay.
So I used the Ugg boots when we did Sue's round table. Oh, hi, Jilly. Jilly's just popped in.
Jilly.
Um, and I've got no hard and fast rule that we can't use the same deck twice, but I don't know. I just like to change it up every now and then. So
I'm perfectly okay with that deck.
right. So I said, in terms of the spread, I said that I'd kind of rejigged the Celtic Cross. Now, I actually want to talk you through, Mendy, the spread positions before we do it, because I'm open to your input. Because sometimes when you create, I like to bounce a spread off of somebody, because sometimes you create something and in actual fact, it maybe doesn't quite tick the box.
Sure.
So let me just get rid of the comment. So it's going to look exactly like a normal Celtic cross, but with the thought in mind that we're actually examining a person, we're examining we're looking at you and who you are, who you need to be, I thought, the normal positions are more like if we've got a question, something we're looking to kind of delve into. Whereas I wanted to kind of make the positions a bit more relevant. So what I've come up with, so the cross in the middle, um, these aren't the
Hold on.
cards I'm going to use. I'm just
Gorch is asking. It says, witchy hair, don't care. She asked for my t-shirt. I didn't know. Okay, sorry.
No, you're fine. You're fine.
T-shirt.
So the cross in the middle, we're going to have like the kind of inner and outer, like the unconscious and the conscious.
Okay.
First of all, just to examine those different aspects of the self. Then I wanted to bring the elements into it. So we're going to look at the 4 elements. So that way we're looking at, fire, what is for me, fire is purpose and, the reason that you're here, all that kind of thing, the actions that you take and the things that you do that almost like define your life. It's the kind of things like when you're kind of, I don't know, when you're old and you've got grandkids or great grandkids, these are the things you'll tell your great grandkids about. When your granny was young, this is what she did. So that's your fire. Air, we want to look at what's happening inside your head and like where, obviously pertaining to the question, we want to look where your head should be or what kind of things we're wanting to look at in the realm of air. Water, your heart, connections, emotions, relationships, that kind of thing. And we want to look at where that's relevant. And then earth at the bottom, we want to be looking at, in your material world, is there maybe something that you could be doing? Is there something that you are doing that's great? Something that you need to know about in terms of like kind of getting to where you want to be? And then the staff at the side. So it's kind of more similar to the normal Celtic cross. So I've got at the bottom, it's almost like putting all of this together. The bottom for me is the querent. It's you. So putting all of this together, what do you need to bring to the situation, or what aspects of yourself do we need to, is it that we need to be looking at? Then the environment. So how can you best utilize the world around you, your environment around you, in order to kind of achieve what you're wanting to achieve? And then the next 2 are the kind of usual, hopes and fears. So we want to kind of look at that and see how that kind of comes into everything. And then it's just like kind of the direction that it's going in, the outcome card, if you want to call it that. So that's what I'm thinking in terms of a spread and the things that we want to be looking at. Now, does that sound okay to you? Have you got any kind of
Yeah, that sounds dead on. I mean, really, you're just taking the elements and putting them in place of the situational cards, right? You're
pretty much, yeah. I, that was really the issue for me, was the situational cards, because we're not wanting to look at a situation, we're wanting to look at you as a person. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, that makes sense.
So yeah, okay, dokie. Right, so I'm shuffling away. I'm just going to cast my eyes down the comments to see if I'm missing something. Justin says shit bit the Ugg boots.
Justin's just talking about being on LSD, so you're not.
Why is Robin mentioning the murder of crows? Have I missed something?
Oh, no, I didn't. Oh, maybe he was guessing that was the deck you were going to use?
Oh, sorry, right, okay, so that was when you were guessing, right. Saoirse says Mendy. Oh, sorry, that was the t-shirt, right. Oh, I'm right, I'm way behind, okay.
Nothing at all about the reading.
Right, okay, that's cool. Right, we need to get a wee riffle in there. Just, if for nothing else, to wind up the people that hate riffle shuffling.
So it's the Marseille Waite, the Tarot de Marseille Waite.
It's this one. So this, I believe, is available from Amazon France. Is that right?
Mm-hmm.
So if you log in, you can do it through your Amazon app. You just need to go to the settings and change your region to France, and then you can find this. And I don't think it's a dear. This was a gift, so I'm not 100% sure of the price, but I don't think it's massively pricey to buy unless it's gone up lately.
Yeah, I think it wasn't available for a while. I don't know if it's back available. If they're back,
Really?
but yeah, it was not expensive. Even shipping to the US was reasonable.
Yeah. Right. Okay. Right, okay, so the first card is the kind of inner, it's the kind of deepest you, it's the unconscious, it's basically, is there something deep inside you? What is the position there, So we've got the Nine of Pentacles there, and let me just kind of get this positioned.
Interesting. I've been pulling that card a lot lately.
Yeah. Gosh, see, just this aside, I need to. I have got the mother of all stalker cards right now. I have pulled the same card of the day the last 3 days in a row.
Really?
So I have, yeah, and the day before that I missed it. I didn't pull a card, but the day before that I got the card that comes directly before the card of the day that I've got 3 days in a row. So yeah, cards of the day, by the way, they're a thing. But anyway, sorry, I don't want to digress too much. So we'll get the Nine of Pentacles and the kind of the unconscious, the kind of deepest part of yourself. Now, obviously, we're looking at someone there who's kind of really kind of comfortable in their material world. They don't really want to have to think. Well, they're not thinking too much about, making ends meet. It's not that kind of thing. You're at the end of that kind of Pentacles journey where you're, where you can be quite comfortable in your material life. I'm trying to think what we're looking at there from a more deep point of view. Have you got any thoughts on the card, Mendy, about what it might mean for you?
Like I said, I've been getting that card quite frequently, not daily, but frequently. It's been popping up a lot lately. And I just really see that as, yeah, I mean, I really don't want for anything. I'm, materially, I'm very set, and not that, you can always have more, but I'm certainly privileged to have all of my needs met.
Yeah.
And have a very content life. And where I'm at in my life, it's not as if I'm not young and starting a career and building a home. I have an established home. My careers have pretty much tapped out at this point. I'm just kind of content, and I can't complain. I'm really, but I am kind of bored. And I see that a bit in the card, complacency.
Right, okay.
Um, where, I can appreciate all that I have. And I certainly am grateful for all that I have, because I know there are many people that aren't lucky to be in the position that I'm in.
Yeah.
But I need something more than just, not materially more, but more internally.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. What's interesting to me is we've got this kind of deep content in the position of the unconscious. And what I'm really interested to see is the next card, because I want to know. So, like unconscious and conscious, it's like if we think of the chariot card, it's like your black horse and your white horse.
Mhm.
So, if those are both, quite consistent with each other, that's a sign that, things are going well. If they're not, if we pull the next card and it shows a completely different situation to what's happening there, then that's when your chariot's getting torn apart. That would suggest that although your deepest self is quite content, it
Mhm.
says that your surface self, your conscious self, that you're striving for more and stuff. And I suppose the question is, how can we get those? Anyway, I'm saying all this and I've not even pulled the next card. Um, right, okay. So the next card that we've got for the kind of conscious self or the outer self is the Lepap, or the Hierophant.
Mm.
Um, so I mean, they're not. Let's just look at them side by side for a minute. So I mean, we're not looking at someone who's struggling here. We're looking at someone who's in quite a kind of high up position, who's quite an authoritative position, who is trusted and who is advising other people. Now, the only thing about the Hierophant is that it's the number five. It's that blooming number five. Now, we quite often call that instability, but when you kind of scratch beneath the surface, for me, that instability comes from the change. It comes from this kind of, the Hierophant or the Pope or whatever. He's supposed to kind of sit between the earth and the heaven and the earth. It's this kind of, it's kind of saying to the fool, you know what? It's not just about this material life that you've gathered so far in the first four cards. There's something a wee bit more. It's almost saying you kind of need to put your faith in something. When there's no tangible proof of it, and that's for me. That's where the instability comes from. It's the kind of idea that you, things are changing. You can't quite just. All right, what am I trying to say? Because I'm starting to reach a dead end here and I'm not getting my point across. But it's like you're being asked to believe in something and to strive for something when you can't see the end point, and when you don't truly know if you're going in the right direction. It's been asked to have faith, which is quite a difficult thing to ask of someone. So I'm just rambling now. So if we put
So
that into the
hold on. So the first card was my unconscious. The second card is my conscious, or is my
yeah,
flip?
no, you're right. So
Unconscious
unconscious and conscious.
and conscious. See, then I almost feel like the Hierophant is the consciousness, is the establishment,
Hmm.
the that I'm seeing my conscious self as being set in the established um realm. Does that make sense? Like it's um being traditional,
Right. Okay. Okay.
right? And I'm not sure how that plays with the Nine of Pentacles, but just that's kind of where I consciously see myself as I mean, I know I'm heavily involved in a tarot community, but as a very traditional person.
Yeah. Yeah.
And that's my conscious view of myself, if that makes sense.
Yeah. Yeah. Definitely. I've just realised that I'd kind of like neglected the people in the chat. So Jacob's popped in to see us. So hi Jacob, it's lovely to see you here. Um, Jacob is Jamie's student or worked
Uh,
under Jamie or something, I think.
yeah.
Um, let's see. Simon says mental rest, Chris. I think that was in relation to my stalker card. It's the Four of Swords, so it is. Just check. So we're talking about the Marseille way.
Oh, I see Justin saying the Pope as a mentor looking to others to help for help, but having solid foundation.
Yeah.
That's not Pentacles though, Justin. It's the Nine of Pentacles. I mean, it's what you're saying still applies, but it's a high Pentacles.
So unconscious position. If you truly do feel ready to discover your new self, Mendy, it seems to be acceptable of readiness to move on without worry.
The Nine of Pentacles. Okay, that makes sense.
Yeah.
And John, I see the Nine of Pentacles as being fully in the material realm with the Hierophant as a spiritual teacher helping you to see past the material. Yeah, that could be a need to move from the material to the spiritual.
Cool. We've got Ishi, pleasure found in luxurious solitude, personal legacy that has been passed down to you, the cultivation of who you are, respecting yourself. So I think that might have been in relation to the Nine of Pence on its own. A slow, steady development of the soul. Let's jump in. The Hierophant is the card for 2021, she says. I suppose, actually, yeah. Is this, you mentioned this. Jonathan's away to make lunch. What's for lunch, Jonathan? Looking for direction with things that you have a solid foundation for yourself. Ginger Faye, hi Ginger Faye.
Hi Ginger.
See the Nine of Pence has been fully in the material realm with the Hierophant as a spiritual teacher. So, right, yeah. So it's interesting, right? Because see if these were the other way about, I would be cool with that because, you know, like the unconscious self, and this is probably just my poor understanding of psychology, right? But to me, the unconscious self, that kind of deeper self that some of us struggle to get in touch with, that probably pertains, relates better to the kind of spiritual stuff that we associate with the Hierophant, whereas the conscious self is kind of like the things that our mind is kind of routinely on, the things that are in our mundane everyday lives. To me, that relates more to like an earthy card, like the Nine of Pentacles. So what's interesting is that these are swapped around. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I'm not quite sure what I make of that yet. But when I have a thought, you'll be the first to know.
Yeah, and Sue says the Hierophant is pretty traditional despite being spiritual. Yeah, Sue, I think that's what I was trying to get to when I said when I see the Hierophant there as my conscious self, is that I'm a pretty traditional person despite my maybe non-traditional spiritual practices.
Yeah. Sue also said here, are you happy to adopt a guiding role for others? Perhaps that is part of the new Mendy. Or are you consciously resisting that role? So, like, I mean, the Hierophant is like a teacher, yeah. Like that's to me, like if I was going to rename this card, it would be the teacher.
Right.
So is that somewhere that your mind is at right now? Do you know what I mean? It's like almost, is it using this kind of, this steady base, this comfort, this, this established base that you've got for yourself on a deeper level, thinking about using that to, to bring that kind of coaching to other people?
Um, it's not where I'm at now. I don't feel confident enough to say that I would be a appropriate teacher
Right,
in anything that I'm involved in now.
right, okay.
I've been a teacher in the past. I was a college professor for a while, an adjunct college professor for a while. I've been a teacher in different roles in the past, but the things that I'm involved in now, I don't feel like I'm, you know, uh, adept at to be
Right,
considered a teacher or a guide of any sort.
right, okay.
Oh, no, Sue, I like your questions.
Um, oh, I'm quite far behind. So I see this as maybe not having enough faith in yourself in terms of that's interesting that I've pulled that statement from Jonathan up just after what you've just said. Um, the Nine of Pence. So I enjoy the bliss and abundance I have sown, and the Hierophant or the Seeker. I am my own guru. The guidance I need is rooted in my faith, my belief, and my unique essence. So I think that's the Light Seers gives like wee quotes for each card, and I think those are the two quotes that Issues pulled there for us. Look inward to the Nine of Pentacles and not outward towards the teacher. It's hard to know. Right, okay, fair enough. I think that was the comment that you were referring to, wasn't it?
Yes. That's
Uh,
interesting. And I just saw that.
oh, I did.
Today's the 21st of the 2021, the
Yeah,
26th.
somebody messaged that to me earlier on, and I totally forgot all about it. So I actually meant to say to you before we went live, keep me in mind to mention it because, well, I suppose it's not for you yet, but yeah, for me, we've passed exactly what Simon's comment says there. Um, so yeah, um, Kristen's got to go. You enjoy the rest of your day, Kristen. Um, do, 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 do.
Yeah, that's what I was saying to Sue. I like her questions.
Yeah, yeah.
Make me think.
Justin says that's what I'm thinking. The question is, who should I be to reach my full potential?
Is that
Yeah,
about being a teacher, Justin?
I think that was in when I said it was interesting that I pulled up that last comment to Justin's just as after what you said. I think that was that this then followed that, because I mean, I suppose I need to kind of like try and not like deviate away from the cards and just speak as me, but like I think that I think you make a great teacher. Like you've
Thank
got
you.
a lot of you speak from a confident place. You're a very kind of safe person, a safe space to be around. I wouldn't feel intimidated or like I wouldn't feel silly asking you a question about something that I was unsure of. Um, So, I mean, if it's not something you want to do, then, it's not something you want to do. Like, everyone keeps saying to me, oh, because I've did maths at uni, everyone says, oh, you're going to be a maths teacher? And it's like, no, no, a room full of 30 kids, 30 teenagers, no thank you. Like, so, like, if teaching's not something that you're interested in, then it just
Yeah.
isn't. But if it's like, you've
Yeah.
got
I
this
mean,
high in the conscious mind, so,
yeah. I mean, I have always enjoyed teaching in different areas. I've been a teacher in a lot of different, not a like school teacher, but a teacher of
mm,
adult education,
yeah,
in a lot of different realms. But they were all in areas where I was professionally very confident, where I felt like I really was basically had a full mastery of the content.
Yeah.
In the things that I'm, interested in and involved in now, I don't know that I will ever feel like I have a full mastery of the content.
Elaine says, ready to bridge to higher knowledge as you're content with your own understanding of the world.
Mm.
Jen's here. Jen, I'm sorry. That's the first I've noticed that you're here, so
Yeah.
it's lovely to see you. Sue says, I think we would disagree with you, Mendy, at least in the tarot world. So again, I think that's about. We all seem to be trying to force you to become a teacher, don't we? The School of Mendy will commence tomorrow. You may not have to teach per se, maybe lead a study group, for example, which I think is what you're doing with the kind of runes and stuff.
But,
is that right?
okay, and I said this at the very beginning of the class. Diane's here; she can tell you this. I am probably the least knowledgeable about runes in that whole group, and I'm not leading it. I'm just facilitating it. I just set up the time in the Zoom meeting and made it happen. My knowledge base is very, very small in that. That's like probably of the divination type material that I use, runes are probably my least, that I know the least about. Which is why I wanted to do the study group, to help learn more.
Okay. Just jumped. I see it as your quest to find yourself. Looking outward for mentors is important, but it's equally important to look at what you've attained inwards with the Nine of Pentacles. Sue says the best teacher are those who are just a few steps ahead of their students, in my opinion. See, I agree with that. I mean, I suppose I think it depends on what you're looking at. Quite a lot of the time, how do I want to say this? So, see, whenever I've been studying anything really, but I noticed it most prominently when I was at uni and when I was studying like school and uni, you know, see when you're kind of studying something, when you're looking at a subject at a certain level, it's like you know, you're gaining all this understanding and you start to think, yeah, right, okay, well that makes sense. See when you go to the next level up, do you know what I mean? So like if I'm doing differential equations at uni, I'm thinking, right, okay, I'm getting this, this is good, understanding it. I reckon I could, I'm good with differential equations now. Then next year you do differential equations too, and you're like, wow, I really had no idea. Do you know what I mean? Like I had only scratched the surface. So I think sometimes, yeah, but it depends, what's involved in those couple of steps ahead that you are. Do you know what I mean? Like,
Absolutely.
now interestingly, that's about maths and like science and that kind of thing, which is kind of like where there's a correct way to do it, there's an answer, and that's that. With this kind of stuff, it's totally different. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's more of a kind of Englishy type thing. Do you know what I mean? Where it's all kind of very subjective and everyone's got their own kind of way of looking at it type thing.
Yeah.
So
yeah, no, that's true, and it's cumulative. Math is more cumulative. Like when I would teach, law classes, because I taught a lot of real estate law classes. It wasn't cumulative. It was, you covered this subject, then this subject, and that subject, and these two subjects didn't have anything really to do with the first subject.
Yeah.
You just had to, whereas I can see math being, you really have to know the first subject before you can move on to the second subject.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So it is different. And I think that teaching something that's more, it is like a language, right? Because that's really what interpreting the cards or runes or anything, coffee grounds, whatever. It's learning the language, it's learning the symbolism and putting it together to create a story.
Yeah, definitely.
So I think that's kind of a combination of the two areas, the difference between teaching, say, math or history or law.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right?
Gerald says, I agree. So I think Mendy would be a supportive teacher, would expect students to do their best. Maybe, Mendy, you're approaching your spiritual development the same way that you approach other ways that you've learned and taught. Perhaps this process could be less structured and more organic.
Oh, that is a very good point. That kind of hit it close to home.
Okay.
Because I am very structured in the way I try to learn things.
Right,
And
yeah.
Divination and is not best learned that way.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's a very good point.
That is, yeah. I suppose that's kind of touches on what we were kind of saying there, doesn't it? Like, just the kind of different styles of learning.
And Sue says something similar. She said, I don't know if you see her comment about spiritual teaching is not prepping students for an exam, which is exactly what my experience in teaching has always been. Prepping someone for an exam or, to pass a test to get a certification or to,
Yeah. So I think Naomi's answered Ginger's question. It's like Rachel says, when the teacher is ready, students appear. Jen says she snuck in. My chat jumped again. Do you know what? I'm trying to catch up here, and it's like I'm just getting further and further behind.
Yeah.
Jilly says you're a teacher already. It's within you.
Thank you, Jilly.
Justin, I saw this more as her looking to mentors, not teaching herself. It could be both. Sue says, I think we need the magician to come up soon. Gerald, the teacher only has to be one sentence ahead of the students. That room class might be the opening for more.
It's not a class, it's a study group.
Spiritual teaching is not prepping a student for, sorry, yeah, you said that already. You're miles ahead of me in the comments. I'm not doing very well here.
I'm like letting them pass by and just catching the ones. It's your live. I'm letting you take control of it, letting you be responsible for getting all the comments.
Right, Shadowed Woodland, wanting a mastery of the spiritual self. It's hard to be a teacher of something so individual and so arbitrary. Best tarot teachers teach students how to teach themselves.
That's true.
Yeah. At uni, my information for nursing was only relevant for the time at uni. As I entered my working role and I wasn't studying, I became more stagnant, and the students after me had the newer knowledge. Right, okay. So you're a natural storyteller and comic. When you walked through the TDM deck, your comments on the court cards, facial expressions had me laughing my ass off. So tarot is about discovery of the self. A tarot teacher learns as much about themselves by teaching the student. Yeah, that's true. Reminds me of a meme a friend shared earlier today that 30-somethings look sage to teens, whilst the 30-somethings are looking
More adulter, wiser than that.
More adult, wiser than them.
Yeah, what about the 40-somethings, is she? Almost 50-somethings. Who are we?
um, right, you definitely have a fabulous teacher vibe, Mendy, says John. Okay. So I mean that the teacher thing really kind of
That seemed to be a
it really to let's move on and see what the rest of the cards throw up at us. So the next card is about it's your fire, it's your purpose. So we've got the Page of Swords in there. Okay. So the Page of Swords, it's interesting to think about a page in a purpose position because we think of the pages as just kind of coming into something anew and really kind of really starting their craft off and kind of trying to learn as much as they can. Um, in particular, the Page of Swords is it's very much about trying to learn different types of information. Very intellectual. Now, what something that does spring to mind is that that thing about how we should always be learning, and I really think that that applies really well to what we're doing here now. I know that your question didn't just apply to tarot and spiritual stuff, or at least I don't think it did. So I'm trying my best not to just not to hone in on that. But one thing that I've noticed about this stuff is that see the more information that you take in about random stuff. So, like for example, reading fairy tales. Do you know what I mean? Reading up. I was talking to Malami recently about learning about the seven chakras. Um, reading. I mean, you can really read anything, like relate anything to kind of reading the cards. It's kind of like fairy tales is the kind of stories. So I've been working with my fairy tale tarot and learning all the kind of different stories. But like, what other tarot decks can I like pull just at a glance? And so the Druidcraft tarot, there you go. So that's all about kind of like druidry and all that kind of thing. So when I was kind of looking through that and reading the book and stuff, it's like learning all that kind of stuff and how that relates to the cards. There's so much, there's so many different things you can relate to this, and the more information you take in, I think the stronger position you put yourself in. Does that make sense?
Yes, yes, it makes total sense, and I really do feel like I'm at a Page of Swords kind of place right now.
Yeah.
Like I said, in the beginning that I was, from the reading that I got from Bennabelle Wynn was very, very impactful for me. And when she said that it's like because it was actually an astrology reading, not a card reading, although she
Right.
did pull cards for me. And she said that based on where I was astrologically, it was like my life was cut in half. And I was starting the second half of my life, which was going to be much more um, impactful than the first half of my life. It was like the first half of my life was only there to get me to where I'm at now to go
Yeah.
forward. She told me I'm going to be productive till a very old age,
Right.
and that what I'm starting now is going to be a completely different life than what I had previously.
Right.
And the things I was going to be doing, the things I would be producing, the things I would be working at would be very different to what I had previously. And she likened it to cars. She said, it's like I have been driving around in a Toyota, I forget what model she said, but she's like, some little economy car up until this point. And I need to get ready to jump into a Ferrari. That things were going to start taking off, not necessarily taking off like I was going to do something exceptional or amazing, but taking off for me internally to
Mhm.
start realizing potential that I
Yeah.
hadn't realized before.
Yeah.
And so I do feel like I'm at a page of swords mentality right now, in that I spent, all of last year trying to figure out which direction I need to go to prepare, and I'm starting a new section of life.
Yeah.
And I am always, learning. That's just always been part of who I am. I'm a perpetual student.
Yeah.
So the Page of Swords does, resonate for me at this time in my life. And it does make sense to me as far as the fire element.
Okay.
For me right now.
Cool. Okay, dokes. So another thing, just whilst you were speaking there, another thing that kind of popped into my head was in terms of your fire, your purpose, your passion, it's okay to still be gathering information at this point. Do you know what I mean? There's nothing to say at this point that you need to,
Right.
write what's going to go on your gravestone. Mendy was here and she did this amazing thing. You don't need to know what that is just now. Do you know what I mean? You're still very much in that, like you say, in that page phase where you're still gathering information. You're still taking in and learning everything. So yeah, maybe like that's another thing that could be thrown up there. Justin says the ground is constantly moving and we are constantly learning. So I think this is the Page of Swords from the Lightseers. I learn and expand my consciousness and open up new opportunities for my life. Naomi says watching and seeing what will work best before rushing in. Yeah. Just sparked something with me as well. The Page of Swords is great in terms of, see if you want to, if you're in a phase where you need to be kind of learning new stuff and taking in more information, Page of Swords is a great place to be. The the trouble sometimes the Page of Swords, the trouble for the Page of Swords is sometimes, and it was when Naomi said rushing in there, it kind of brought it back to me. Sometimes they can assume that they know. Do you ever know those people, like, see when it's when you're talking about just random information, gossip, right? They get like a wee bit of the story. Do you know what I mean? They'll overhear part of the story, then they'll assume that they know it all, and they'll go around and start shooting their mouth off. Do you know what I mean? That's Page of Swords energy down to a
Right.
T.
They're
It's
teenagers.
like
They're
it's
teenagers.
yeah,
The Page
yeah.
is a teenager. They think they know way more than they do.
Yeah, exactly. So it's almost like that kind of thing where it's like, you're taking in information, but take care not to get yourself into a situation where you're going off on a big massive tangent based on one small piece of information. Do you know what I mean? Based on one small, piece of the puzzle. Don't go off and let yourself get led off like that. Always kind of, the page is quite an immature energy. You need that kind of that knight, the queen, and the king energy as well. You need to kind of remember and have that action, that guidance and coaching and protection with the queen, and that kind of overall stability with the king. So those are things that maybe need to be kept in mind when you're deciding and when you're looking at what your fire is. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it makes total sense.
Okay, so more of a principal vibe with a 12-inch ruler who isn't afraid to use it. Ah, name.
I do have to tell you, Neem, that's hilarious because in the US, I don't know if you have this in the UK, but there's a website called Write My Professor. And
Yeah, I've heard of it, but I don't think we've got it.
Yeah, well, people go in, students will go in, and I only have, I think, 1 or 2 ratings, but my rating is that I was extremely hard and unrealistic in my expectations. No, I I don't take offense to that because I know the people that are satisfied don't complain, right? They don't go in and write something. It's only the people, and it was only, I think, 2 people. But yeah, I had high expectations.
Oh dear. my mind went to terrible places there, so it did when I saw that comment. Right. So Gingerface's page is in a learning phase. So exploring different or alternative ways to learn and, and potentially teach. We're still making it. You're going to be a teacher, Mendy, if it's the last thing that we do. How can a solid background in information management be expressed or applied in new energetic ways? Oh, hang on. Ginger says you go, Mendy. My other reference material for the night says wise beyond your years, expressing oneself only when the moment calls for it, articulate.
Is that for the Page of Swords?
Yeah, yeah. So I think that's Ishi's other reference material tends to be from the Crow Tarot. Is that right, Ishi? Let's see. Justin, you are the student and you have a vast amount of practical knowledge and so many great mentors. The page changes how I see the other cards now. Interesting. Very interesting. Student for life. So the page is at the ready for her new adventure. Chuck your renter out, Mendy, and start that tarot school. Sister Act were my favourite. Oh,
She's going back to the nun with the ruler.
Oh, right, yeah. General to the teacher like that. So Neem loves you no matter how harsh you are. You have a lesson to teach, and if she didn't care, she wouldn't share. That's very true. I think you both should open a divination school. Right, it's not me we're reading here, actually. It's Mendy. I'm getting dragged in there. He's standing on that mountain from the soul card. Ah. So the page is standing on the mountain. Who does it say that? Sue said that.
Huh.
Okay. Not the Crow Tarot tonight. I had a nun throw my books and Ninja Turtle book bag across the room when my books didn't fit. She said, "Tell your mother to buy a real school bag."
I love the little nuggets of Justin's life we're getting tonight. Him tripping on the beach and becoming the beach too.
That's so cruel.
Terrorized by a nun.
What age were you, just if you had a teenage mutant
would be little, yeah.
Ninja Turtle bag, then we're not talking like, last week, are we? Well, maybe. Who knows? But yeah, no, that's a wee shame. I'm now just imagining this poor wee boy Justin. He's trying to fit his books in his bag, and the teacher comes along and says, "Fucking give me that." Poor wee Justin. I want to give him a cuddle.
Elsa's 28.
We now need to say, it's coming up for Justin's birthday's in like a couple of weeks. Right, we need to get him a Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles bag for his birthday, don't we? Sue says, if someone doesn't buy my house, then I will. Start a tarot school, I take that as. Paige's vibe is to simply adopt an easygoing approach to life. Did you kick her in the shin, Justin, or nah? Right. So we've looked at fire. The next element we're looking at is air. So, you know, where's our head at in all of this? And we've got strength or force.
You can't see the cards out of the camera.
Oh, sorry. Let me just bring that down like that then for now. Yeah, so strength, we've got strength there. So in terms of our mental energy, it's, you know, strength for me is, and I've got a feeling that we might have different views on the strength card, Mendy. But for me, it's very much about, you know, being proud of yourself. Those kind of aspects of the lion and the person both represent one, you know, one being here, you know, one person. The lion is just that kind of part of yourself that sometimes you might tend to hide or push down. And strength is about learning to, you know, just be proud of yourself and let that out. It's like taming that beast. It's like kind of learning to not be ashamed, you know, of those different. Now, how do we relate that to the element of air, though? Um, if it was me personally and I was looking at this for myself, I would be like, well, that really applies to my ego. Like I know that I need to kind of always keep in mind not to be too, not to come across too like kind of arrogant or like egotistical, and that's something I've always got in mind whenever I'm kind of dealing with, you know, people, and I'm always kind of trying to preempt what I'm going to say, and you know, like, so for me and the element of air, that's probably the bit of myself that I tend to kind of push down, and I try to kind of maintain this constant battle with. Um, but I mean, that's what about you? What are your thoughts on that card?
Yeah, no, I see force very similar to that. It's just the lion is part of the woman, and it's her control over the lion. That's, you know, that's being presented by the card in whatever situation. So
Mm.
to me, being in this position of air, I see that as kind of a, you know, control over thoughts and control over where your mind goes. And, you know, I'm one of the struggles that I have is, and this is going back to the artist way, as an inner critic, right? Your inner critic that's always telling you the negative
Mm.
things. And I let my inner critic run rampant a lot. And that's something I always have to be conscious of and not allow those thoughts, because it really affects my vibrations in the
Right.
way that, wow, that sounded really woo-woo, didn't it? Um, it's just,
No, but no, I'm totally with you though. That makes
you know,
sense.
it's if I don't take responsibility for what I allow to come into my head, then it tends to go to the negative.
Yeah,
And it's not just me, it's negative about everything around me and other people. And I tend to just lean to the negative and to the lower vibe.
right.
Um, so it's something I'm conscious of, and it's something, it's an internal struggle. And that's what I see force or strength as, is the internal struggle between
Yeah,
your
yeah.
animal, you know, your inner beast, your inner whatever that's going on. And for me, especially in an air position, it would be that inner critic.
Yeah, the critical self. So
Yeah.
it's like, so do you see the line as almost being like that inner critic, and
Yeah,
this is you
especially in
kind
an
of
air
battling
position.
to,
Yeah, in the position of air and thoughts and mind, I see that as being that the lion being the inner critic,
yeah,
and who's in control? Am I in the control or the inner critic? You know, was it Julia Cameron or was it, I forget who it was. One of those. Um, I can't think of what her name is. That did Eat, Pray, Love. I can never remember her name, but in her book, Big Magic, she talks about, she's a big um, artist way follower too. And she talks about allowing that inner critic. You can't get rid of it. It's always going to be there, but forcing it to be a backseat driver. Don't ever let it sit at the wheel.
Yeah.
A lot of car analogies tonight too. But, keep forcing it in the back. Don't even let it sit in the passenger seat. Just keep forcing it back. And that's in the air position. That's where I see that lion is, who's going to be in control. If the lion can control you, or are you going to control the lion?
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. I mean, I think like you would never want to banish that, and even if you could, I don't think you would want to banish it altogether, because I think,
Right, then you
having
become a narcissist, right?
exactly,
If you're Donald Trump. So
yeah,
if
yeah.
you never second guess yourself, you become a narcissist. So
But I think it's important for self-development as well. Do you know what I mean? That like we question ourselves. We look at how we've done something, or something that we've said. The inner critic, it kind of works from the past, and it kind of it's always kind of trying to improve the self. Now, when it gets out of control, then that's when we can get too self-critical, and
right.
that's kind of the kind of thing that we're trying to tame here. But it's always, it's not about killing the lion altogether, like in the strength card. It's just about kind of taming it and kind of gaining that, like learning to live in harmony with it almost. Yeah. So no,
Right.
that's pretty cool. Let's see what people are saying. So one of my ultimate dreams to work with others in a type of tarot school. Oh, couldn't see the cards. I still hear that there's something you need to learn or gain before the house will let you. Oh, sorry, that's talking to Sue. Count me in. All right, okay. Um, elements. Sign me up to none. That none needs to tell me off for not paying attention. So name says determination for sure. Sometimes you have to psych yourself out when you feel like I can't or question your ability, you alter your thinking into will. Um, Taro Stash Gerald, he says he hates the inner critic. I see this as a great card for this position. It's a strong discipline. Fire and air, yeah. Do you know, that's a good point, right? So force, strength as a fire card, it's associated with the star sign of Leo, or the astrological Leo. So we've got a fire in the air position, and we've got an air in the fire position.
Yeah.
So your air and your fire are very much intertwined, so they are. Which is interesting. Which I suppose is like, well, yeah, no, it's interesting. We've got the Lightseer's quote again. I deliberately bring my compassion and strength forward and use them for good. Talking about Naomi says gentle power, patience, and tolerance is what is needed. Ginger says strength through confidence and determination you can overcome obstacles. Sue says, can you be stubborn, Mendy? Like determined to control your thoughts and getting pissed when you can't.
I don't know what would give you that idea, Sue. I'm perfectly easy.
Thank you very much, Jackie. And then patience. I'd read it that way. Okay, so that was quite a nice card for the air position. Now let me just kind of, in fact, I can put it there because we can still see. I'm going to put the water card to the right. So this is water. This is where your heart is. Okay, so we're taking everything and turning it upside down with the Hanged Man here. Now, this is a card that I know we've discussed this card. I know that we take different views on this, so we do. So what do you think about the Hanged Man in the position of water? Oh,
Well, yeah, the Hanged Man is just I just came out of a Hanged Man year. I think it's about being suspended and being, you know, I don't want to say punished, but in an uncomfortable position. Chris, you're all hung up. Am I all by myself now? You seem to be. Is Chris completely frozen? So it's just me now, apparently. Um, so I guess the Hanged Man, I'll just continue on with my interpretation of the Hanged Man while Chris figures out his technical issues. Oh, wait, his arm's there. But I see the Hanged Man as being suspended, and that's in water. His emotions. I guess I'm in kind of a wait and see type scenario, emotionally. That's there you are. You're back. Your arm was still there. I saw your arm moving around the card, so that was weird.
It's just I was just verbally.
Yeah, now you're frozen again, but only in your. I can't hear you, but I can see your hand moving, which is weird. So only the one screen on StreamYard is frozen. That's all kinds of freaky and weird. So Justin thinks it's about gaining spiritual enlightenment. Maybe taking a different viewpoint.
Oh, I disappeared again there, so I did. I
Yeah.
don't know what's going on. I'm going to quickly message Sandy just now. You could talk away, Mendy.
Yeah.
I'm going to message Sandy just now and see if he's doing anything major with the internet.
I was just sputtering around because I really am not sure how I would read the Hanged Man in that position.
Right. Okay. Okay.
No, just an emotional standstill.
Yeah. I mean, so these two are quite interconnected. They seem to be speaking to each other just with the kind of combination of the elements and how they kind of correspond to each other. The Hanged Man for me is a lot about, it's like taking a different perspective, and it can often be about sacrificing something or pushing yourself to the limit in order to achieve what you're wanting to achieve.
Yeah.
For Odin, he hung
Right.
him, he had himself hung from the tree in order to achieve spiritual enlightenment, or
Right.
gain the gift of foresight, or whatever it was, whatever the reason was that he did it.
Yeah, it was
But
fight of himself to himself. Yeah.
yeah, but yeah, whatever it was, he was looking to achieve it. It was by it was like a near-death experience. Do you know what I mean? It's like I always associate this kind of card with the whole, see things like vision quests, and when people take substances in order to achieve a different state of mind.
Like on the
To
beach. Yeah.
what that?
Like Justin on the beach, being the
Oh.
beach. Remember when
What
he
was
did?
Justin doing on the beach?
Oh, that was early on when he was talking about taking LSD and then freaking out on the beach, and then somebody told him to be the beach, and he was the beach and calmed down. You missed that whole conversation.
I must have.
Um, but yeah, it's definitely. I agree. I would agree with that.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
So as she's talking about strength, gentle control without physical force, like the page, there's an element of patience with yourself. Justin, what's the question again? I think this is where I've frozen.
Let's see. Jen said, take the emotion out of it and trust your intuition from the strength card in air. And that actually speaks to me too, Jen. Just don't allow myself to be emotionally driven. Because I think, like I was saying about my inner critic, it's very much tied into it. Well, I mean, obviously, that's kind of stating the obvious, but your inner critic is very much driven from emotion and often from your youth. And we've lost Chris again. He's hung up again, I think. Um, and that's a lot of decision making in the past has been made based on fear because of my inner critic. And maybe I need to take that out of it. Let's see. Justin says, learning true knowledge through sacrifice, pain, and suffering. Yeah. Ginger says, finding equilibrium in the emotional energies. I think that's relevant too. Ishi, the Hanged Man, also speaks of patience while looking at things differently, related also to the Pope and how open up to the divine self. And again, that's in the soul card. Yeah, Ishi, you're right. And I know you're really seeing the soul card in these cards, and I can see where that's coming through for you. Justin, the knowledge we seek is a deep spiritual knowledge that is the most important knowledge. True. Ishi, move out on a limb. Yeah, taking a chance and doing something outside of the box, doing something from a different position that I would normally do.
I'm sorry, Mendy. I know
Okay.
feeling. Sandy brought me up a cup of tea about 10, 15 minutes ago, and when he went out, he closed the door. So I don't know if that's maybe what's throwing my internet. So I've opened the door back up and I've restarted the extension. So hopefully, fingers crossed, that should be us. But yeah, I'm starting to lose my temper with it, to be honest. It's really annoying me.
What's odd, Chris, is that your card camera, which I'm assuming is your phone that you have over, you're not losing anything there. That continues
Right.
on.
See, maybe when the Wi-Fi disconnects from that, it's going on my phone internet. Do you know what I mean? So it's that maybe is just that's going to be fine. It's just this damn thing.
Yeah.
Oh, right.
Yeah. Oh, I was just reading some of the comments. So far I'm seeing, Sue says, so far I'm seeing an answer to the question as do an audit of your spiritual gifts and practical skills and see how they can work together in a new non-formalized way. That's a very good suggestion. So,
Yeah.
I mean, really looking back at that non-traditional, kind of the normal way of trying to fit things into a box.
Yeah.
Diane, do you have any gut feelings about what you'd like to do? None, Diane. None. What's interesting and why when I had my reading yesterday with Jonathan, he really keyed in heavily on art, which is something I'm newly exploring.
Right.
And that just kept coming up, which that's why I said there was like some synchronicity. And I created this question and sent it to you before I had the reading with Jonathan. And then Jonathan kept bringing up art, and which is not something that has generally been part of my wheelhouse, but is something that I'm slowly and newly exploring, but I'm having a hard time completing or moving forward with.
Yeah. Yeah. I can't remember how far I got with my thought or how much you guys heard of what I was saying before.
You just left it up to me to say what I thought about, and then we didn't. I don't think we heard
Sorry,
your.
right. Okay. So when I was saying about how I quite often I'll interpret the Hanged Man, it talks about pushing yourself to the limits in order to achieve what you're looking to achieve. And
Right.
it was really just a quick thought about that being in the water position,
Mhm.
quite often we're looking at relationships with the people around about you. It's just, you know, you might find relationships being strained a bit. You might find your connections to family and friends, they might be strained
Mm.
in order to achieve your overall purpose, you know. I think it's just like we can't constantly maintain perfect control of everything in our lives at all times. Sometimes, we do drop the ball on some areas of our lives, and that I think that's okay. Do you know what I mean? As long as overall you're kind of maintaining that. But it was just, I wondered if that was what it meant, is it kind of saying, there might be a wee bit of strain put on this area in order to take yourself forward, do you know what I mean?
Mm.
Not so much sacrifice, but just kind of pushing it, taking it to the limit a wee bit,
Right.
um, beyond what you normally would in order to just kind of see that path forwards.
Yeah.
Um, it's just something to think about. And I suppose with water and with cups, we're not just talking about relationships, it's deeper than that. It's connection to the unconscious. So it's spirituality and all that kind of thing as well. So again, if we apply that same logic, pushing it to the limit, really kind of testing yourself, like testing your own spirituality, trying different things, in order to see that path forward, just like Odin. Do you know what I mean? Like,
Yeah. 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 I agree with you. A lot of times water and cups are spirituality more than they are relationships and
yeah,
emotion and interpersonal emotions for me. A lot of times it's internal emotions or spirituality
yeah,
uh, when I read Water and the Cup Suit.
yeah. Um, I don't think emotional energies. Sorry, I don't want to kind of go all the way back, and because I know you've been kind of looking at the comments and talking
Yeah.
whilst whilst I'm away, like whilst my internet's failing me. So I'm just going to kind of keep going. So um, Ishay says card in simplest form, grounded Nine of Pentacles, learn with the Hierophant, patience with the Page of Swords, inner balance with strength and new perspective and understanding with the Hanged One. Um, Justin says it's not always voluntary. Sometimes we gain enlightenment through difficulty.
Mhm.
Um, Need to read the Odin story, said so. Yeah, it's I I love kind of Celtic mythology and stuff like that. I
Yeah.
really enjoy it, and I really enjoy how like kind of brainstorming how they apply to tarot. And that's one of the reasons why I really love Rachel Pollock and her classes and stuff, because she really, really explores that, and she does it really well, in my opinion. Um, Justin also sees the hangman as persecuted for the truth, like witch burning. Um, I think quite often witch burning was more about like kind of persecuting people just because it was about finding a reason to
Yeah.
burn them. You define them as a witch so that you've got an excuse to do horrible things when really they were just normal people going about their lives kind of thing.
Yeah.
But yeah,
Well, and another hit I just got off of that from Justin's comment was fear. And I think I said this when you were out. I don't know if you heard it or not, but um, a lot of, like I talked about, my inner critic and struggle, a lot of that is fear driven emotions, you know, living a life and making decisions motivated by fear rather than abundance. Um, and there is, especially, and again, we're talking whole life, not just tarot and those types of things, but there is an element because of, where I'm at in my life and the community that I live in, that I'm very much in the closet tarot wise. because there is an element of fear of repercussion.
Right.
And, maybe there's some piece of that there that's holding me back because of the emotional, the driving force behind my decision making emotionally.
Yeah. Okay. Take it of you that the masses aren't ready for the prophets are never accepted by their peers.
Okay, now I just want you to refer to me as the prophet from now on, Justin.
See, you shouldn't say things like that because you know me and Justin, these things stick. The Lightseers is now forever the Ugg Boots, and you are now forever the prophet. You're going to regret that big time, man. Hang on, let me just change your name on my phone. I totally get that, Mendy. It can be so paralysing, and yeah, that I'm the same in terms of tarot. Like Sandy obviously knows that I do all this, and I've told my piano teacher, so I have. He knows, and he knows about my channel. But he's the only person in, do I say in Scotland, obviously, because we've got Elaine and
Right.
other lovely people from Scotland here. But he's the only person in
Your circle.
my in my life, in my everyday life, my non-YouTube life, that actually knows about all of this. So yeah, no, I totally get it. I totally get that.
Yeah, I have a few people that do know, and but it does make me, like my daughters talk about it all the time with their friends, and I read for their friends, and I always have just like a little bit of a clench in my stomach, when concerned that and they're all 17, 18, 19, so it's not like I'm reading for children,
Yeah.
but always wondering when a parent is going to reach out to me and say, "Why are you, why are you
Yeah.
with my children?" So it is. It's a little scary.
Yeah. No, I get it. Let's see. Mendy the Mystical.
I go for profit, but you do you, Justin.
The Prophet from the Stash. Right. Whilst my internet's being good, let's get the next card on the table and at least have a cross for our Celtic cross. So this is Earth. Right, okay, we've got a nice wee card for the Earth, although not, again, we're not in the element of Earth. So we've got water for Earth, we've got air for fire, and we've got fire for air. And then, oh God, does anybody even know what element the Hangman associates to? Is it
Justin's
water?
yeah.
Right, okay. Okay. So we're sitting in the Ten of Cups in terms of the material side of things, in terms of Earth, in terms of security and stability and stuff. That side of things is actually looking pretty good. And I think we kind of touched on this when we
Yeah.
talked about that initial card, didn't we? When
Yeah,
we
I
talked
think
about that.
yeah, it just is a reiteration of that Nine of Pentacles.
Yeah,
It's my unconscious self, I think.
yeah. It's a lovely card, so it is. What was I going to say there? See, I so this would have been 78 degrees of wisdom. I read this. R- Rachel, or maybe she said it in a YouTube or something, but she talks about this card and she says that she was reading for someone, and we always look at that card and think that it's just like a happy family. They're pleased with everything they've got, happy days. But she once asked Aquarian, like, when you look at that card, what do you see? And they said, well, I see them waving goodbye. It's as if they're waving goodbye to their, and obviously she was talking about the RWS, but I mean it's
Yeah,
kind of like the same here. Like it's as if they're waving goodbye to this. Like I
yeah.
think it's their house in the background or something.
And, I've also heard something similar, I can't remember who it was, but said, the 10 of Cups is a beautiful, happy card, but it has a rainbow for a reason because a rainbow is temporary and fleeting. and that it's kind of a message to enjoy the fulfillment you feel emotionally now, because as we know from the wheel, it never stays. And the 10 is really just the start of one, which you're starting all over again.
Yeah,
So
it's that kind of recycling type.
not this there's no this is not a 10. The 10 of cups is not a happy ever after card, because there is no ever after.
Yeah, that's true.
Right.
Um,
Bye, Ginger.
the position is earth, the element earth. Oh, bye, Ginger. Having that. Oh, I hope he's okay. Don't we move back to the ones at 10? Yeah, you've just said that. So I think people are just saying bye to Ginger. Yeah, I mean, it's. I know, I get it, and usually, look, when I'm talking about when I read the tens, I'm kind of on the same page. Do you know what I mean? There is that element of completion, but there's also the element of kind of coming around full circle and almost starting again type thing. So
Yeah.
it would make sense for me, just looking at the picture on that, it would make sense numerologically to think, right, okay, well that's a family who've like kind of, they're maybe moving house, they've maybe kind of created a life for themselves somewhere, and now they're moving on to bigger and better things. Do you know what I mean?
Mhm.
The cups, the 10, it's like being the nines is like satiety. Do you know what I mean? It's like having enough. Your cup is full. For the tens, it's like your cup is overflowing, kind of thing. Do you know what I mean? So the energy of this card is like it's at its highest possible point. And that's not something that's something that's quite that really kind of stands out to me here.
Yeah.
So, like, I mean, I think you said it kind of when we first flipped the card over. It kind of like just reiterates what we were looking at the very start with that Nine of Pentacles. Do you know what I mean? It's just talking about like kind of as far as like Earth is concerned, that you know, what was the phrase you used? You don't want for anything.
Yeah.
Um,
Right. I'm content. All of my needs are met.
yeah,
And I almost see this as a warning to not be so complacent in my contentment,
yeah,
materially.
yeah, yeah. Okay.
Um, is she now? It's no longer the lightseers, it's now the Ugg boots.
Oh dear. I live in a state of oneness by bringing harmony and love to my relationships. I love the Ten of Cups in the Ugg boots. I think it looks like a lesbian couple to me. That's just what I look and see when I look at it. It looks like two females,
Mhm.
and then their kids are kind of running about, and I don't know. It just gives me the happy feels. Justin sees tens as excesses. It's that euphoria that never lasts. Okay, okay. I always get really positive vibes from the Ten of Cups, so I do, I have to say. But yeah, so what have we got here? So I like the children in this card. It's like they don't worry, be happy. Oh, here we go. This is where the earworms start. Um, right, the next. So we've got the cross. So this is where we start on the staff. So the first card, the intention is like, what do you need to bring to the situation? It's kind of like the idea is to put all of this information together, and to like one. What do I need to do? What do I need to bring to the table?
Mhm.
Um, so we've got the Eight of Pentacles.
Okay.
Okay, so I mean, consistency is always the thing that hits me first about the Eight of Pentacles. It's the person in the Eight of Pentacles is they've built their stable base. They're on the right track. They don't have to about turn and completely start something new. You know, the system is already kind of going. It's starting to kind of kick off itself. I know the Earth is the most stable suit. We don't often associate this with fast movement and stuff, but in terms of the productivity of work that's happening, that's where I see that eight movement productivity type. No, in terms of the productivity of work, that's where I see the fast movement. Do you know what I mean? It's like the output, you know. Um, I see this as being like the kind of mastered your craft type card. So maybe that's the message. It's like concentrating on getting to this point where you've mastered your craft. If you get, build up that confidence. Like what's become like, and I know like this isn't about becoming a teacher or not becoming a teacher. That ultimately, if that's your path, then that's going to open up itself to you, and you're going to see that. Um, but it's about building the confidence in whatever it is that you do decide to do. It's about building that confidence and feeling that feeling of mastery that comes with consistency. And repetition feels like a bad word to use, but you know how that way when you do things, when you do get comfortable with things, and by
Well,
um
and going back to just to the basis of the question of who am I meant to be to reach my fullest potential, you've got to be somebody who consistently works at it, no matter what your potential is.
yeah,
Right? It's nothing. It just appears. You don't appear at your fullest ever just from scratch. You have to work at it. So the first word you said, consistency, I think that card just screams.
right, yeah, okay. I suppose that's a point because like it's not like in a year's time we're going to get full potential Mendy. You're going to reach your full potential because well, look, then what? We'll just take you out the back and shoot you. Do you know what I mean? Like, what happens after that? It is an ongoing thing that you're going to be, you're always going to be striving for. There is no. It's not like a video game where you complete it and then that's it. It's like it's something that we are always working at. And I suppose that if there's anything about this card, it is like that kind of idea of kind of constant chipping away at it,
Right.
literally. Let's see what people in the chat are saying. So, oh, sorry, we touched on that. It's never a bad card. Oh, that was about the Ten of Cups, wasn't it? Susie says, "What's the position?" The position is so this is kind of like the self. Now I know that every card we've pulled so far is about the self. So really, see that my focus is funny when I put my hand over it. It's what Mendy needs to bring to the situation, what she needs to bring to the table. It's almost like a kind of summary of everything that we've done, everything that we've talked about so far. So this is what Mendy needs to bring to the table in order to,
Yeah.
achieve her. Sorry.
It's like the dory of tarot, just keep swimming. You just keep doing it.
Yeah,
Doing whatever you're doing. Just keep doing it.
yeah. Elaine says repetition leading to mastery. Yeah, absolutely. Sue C says automation. Okay. Um, She says perfectionist card, mastery, and the Hierophant. In mastering a skill, there can be frustration, scream in the soul card, and balance internally with the inner critic.
Mm.
Okay. Oh wow! So you're putting a lot together there, actually, for me to follow.
And
Um,
all over that soul card,
I
she's
know.
relate all of these to the soul. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a good point.
Justin's kind of going back to the Hanged Man. So the answer is be you, who you truly are, individuated and integrated. The Eight of Pentacles is the work. Cool. I mean, I think that's all of any of us ever really want to do, isn't it? It's funny how tricky like discovering yourself and being yourself can actually be.
Yeah.
Um, The Ugg boots, with love and determination, I persevere and become the person I long to be.
Well, that kind of sums it up.
Yeah.
The Ugg boots is very wise.
You got it. Do you have the light seers?
I do. I do. I have mass market. It's somewhere around.
Yeah. Yeah, me too. Do you know, I'll always kick myself for this, but see when I first got the light seers and when I was first getting back into tarot, it was right at the end when the what do you call them? The indie versions were just like kind of coming to the last of them. So I could actually have gone on and got an indie version, but I didn't realise at that time like how much I actually connected with it.
Yeah.
And then, of course, when I realised and thought maybe I should kind of treat myself to the indie version, that I couldn't anymore.
Yeah.
I
One day
ugh,
its way back into your hands. You never know, right?
that's true. You never know. Um, Justin says, look at the middle four cards. The page is going through the motions.
You mean the page, the Nine of Pence, the Pope, and the Hanged Man?
So the kind of middle row. Excuse me. I'm not sure if there's more to Justin's comment.
Yeah, he hasn't.
Um, The next card, so card number 8, the next card up is the environment, So this is like kind of what he says, yes, like a road to enlightenment. Right, okay, I've got you. I've got
Okay.
you. So you're kind of starting off as this student, you're achieving like kind of this, fulfillment in your kind of material life. You're then starting to look at things a bit more spiritually. And then, the Hanged Man.
Yeah.
Um, It'll be interesting to see what cards are kind of in the middle of the staff down, won't it?
Yeah.
I was also looking at the strength to the Ten of Cups. Um, could this be the cards are asking for a different approach? And the Pentacles card is saying Mendy is still just plugging away and not fully engaged with the new Mendy yet. Or asking for a different approach. So see, right. So the kind of position meaning of this card was, what does Mendy need to bring to the table in order to answer the question, and in order to be the best Mendy. If it was a case of, you need to kind of do something different, I wouldn't normally expect to see something like the Eight of Pentacles there. I would normally expect to see like maybe the Two of Swords or something that indicates that there's a crossroads and you need to start thinking about what direction you're going in. For me, the Eight of Pentacles is very much, you're chipping away at it. You're, through consistency, you're going to be a master type thing. So I, just the way I would read it, I would say Mendy's already on the right road. She's already built up this stable base to work from. And for me, I mean, like just through the cards and through just chatting, I think it's more about belief in the self, especially with that strength card at the top. It's more about belief and believing in herself and maybe like just taming that inner, you called it the inner critic,
Yeah.
um, in order to get there. Then, so this was like kind of inside looking out. What do you need to bring? The next is, what does the outside need to bring in, or how can you best utilize your environment, the people around about you, your world, in order to achieve the best Mendy. So we've got the Knight of Wands, the Cavalier de Baton. Um, so, I mean, it looks as though the environment around about you is pretty fiery. It's pretty ever changing. There's a lot of energy and a lot going on, and that's quite a stark
Mhm.
contrast to what it's saying that you need to bring. You know, so I mean, whilst you are in a very stable manner chipping away, at it, continuing as you are and crafting away in order to be this master that you're aiming to be. You've got all this fire going on around about you. All right. So it's learning to, I guess, achieve this stability in an environment that's ever changing and that's like kind of, you know, it's all this shit happening.
Yeah, I'm also thinking like it's just like often see the Knight of Wands, really kind of the Knight of Swords too, but the really active knights as being almost impetuous and um fast moving without just really not a clear direction, just moving to move.
Yeah, yeah,
And I feel like that juxtaposition between the Eight of Coins and the Knight of Wands, earth and fire, the really slow moving and then really fast moving, and is almost like I'm I'm scattered. I'm like learning this and learning this and learning that. And what I really need to do is just keep, plugging away. Not allow myself to be taken for a ride in this direction or that direction, if that makes
yeah,
sense. Like
yeah,
my environment is almost myself as well. I'm not my um the environment I've created is one of no clear direction and a scatteredness, whereas what I need to do is the Eight of Coins.
okay, interesting. Do you think like so we're getting this scatteredness feeling from this card, this high energy, almost high energy for high energy's sake, you know? I always look at the page, not the page, the Knight of Wands. I see the horse kind of up on two legs. It's almost like it's expending all this energy, but it's not going anywhere, you know? It's like this, almost like
Yeah.
this frantic energy.
Yes.
But could that be suggesting, like, because bearing in mind this is meant to embody the environment around about you. Do you
Right.
think it could be something as simple as you need to change your environment? And that's not like you need to up and move house, like maybe not quite as literally as that, but just like almost this, like training yourself to when you're doing this, you know, when you're being this person, and trying to kind of find your greater self. Is it like almost like learning to kind of disengage from the chaos around about you, you know? I know I really struggle with that. Like, and when I'm kind of sitting down and trying to kind of pull cards and you know, do my readings and whatnot, it's often quite hard to like almost forget everything that's going on around about you and just kind of be in that quiet place,
Yeah.
just for the duration.
Yeah.
Um,
That's a good possibility. It is very difficult to disengage,
yeah.
live in a house of 5 people and 2 very loud dogs. It's hard to find. um,
Although, oh, I was just going to say touch wood. I don't think we've heard from the dogs yet, but just as I was going, the words
they
were going to leave my mouth, I heard a wee bark.
yeah,
So
they're outside, you can hear them, and I'm up in the bedroom. They're outside.
um, so okay, we've got issue here. Eight of Pentacles, other reference, using gifts and talents infused in your soul, um, continuing through when it's arduous and difficult because you know it's worth the blood, sweat, and tears. See, that's quite a nice. I think she was talking about this, but that's to me that's quite a nice look at both of these cards and kind of a combination of both of them. Um, the cultivation of who you are. Elaine says, yes, I feel like the eight is saying that Mendy is already doing the work. Um, call to read this reverse for some reason. The page is looking away. He's looking for something new. Okay. Um, so she has the tools. She just needs to relax into them and let the energy from inside flow, which will serve to soothe her and allow for the next step if the
Okay.
magician comes up.
So, is that I need to let the energy with the Page of Wands or the Knight of Wands flow through? Am I
I think that's so she's talking to Sue, so I think that's in relation to what, we're talking about what this means and that this Eight of Coins, I think it's that. And whether this means there needs to be like a change made or whether this means, it's just about kind of, you're already on the right path. It's just about being consistent.
Mhm.
I think that's what we're talking about there.
Okay.
Um, Justin says the page to the Hanged Man is the quest for knowledge. The strength to the Ten of Cups is the will and passion. The Hierophant is the key in both equations. Okay. Okay. Um, so Naomi's heading off. Thanks very much for being here, Naomi, and have a good sleep.
I know you guys, it's getting late there. Oh,
Um,
Simon's headed to bed too. Good night, Simon.
oh, bye, Simon. I just assumed Simon would have been away to bed by now. Um, so I can't keep up with the night's position. So this is essentially the environment. So with the night, we're looking at what is the environment around about Mendy and how can she utilise that to achieve her purpose to find the best Mendy, essentially. I just want to slap
Card.
cards on the table. um,
Um,
we're looking at the Knight of Wands issue. So I don't know if you mean Knight of Wands, but as the dreamer of my dream, I spontaneously and passionately ignite this flame. So I think you might be reading the Page of Wands there, issue. So we're looking at the Knight of Wands right now. With the last two cards show someone who is deeply involved or lost, enjoying the new path slash role. They are moving forward without regard to that inner critic.
okay.
Mendy, are you open to feng shui?
Yeah, I mean, I am, but I'm too lazy to actually engage in it.
Same, same.
I
You know
enjoy
something?
I
Sorry.
enjoy the idea of it.
Yeah, me too. Feng shui is like furniture and the placement of everything in your.
Well, it's all about your environment and the flow of
Yeah,
energy, and,
yeah. Do you know, see the amount of stress that like the placement of my furniture has caused us over the last like 2 weeks? I think 2 weeks ago I turned up at Jilly's Sit With Me up to High Dope because we had basically, in fact, it was just all we were doing was talking about it and measuring couches and spaces and trying to think how we could fit things in and it was all going to pot and I came up in a bad mood because my couches wouldn't fit in my living room essentially. Then last week we wasted most of Saturday moving couches. We've got a living room upstairs and a living room downstairs, and we basically the idea was to swap them round. We spent a good half of the day moving all of them just to realise at the very end that the bigger couch can't fit up the stairs. Like it just can't fit. So so yeah, see the idea of having to feng shui anything. I don't even want to move a lamp. Never mind.
I feel
No.
I just got new couches. I ordered them in September, and they just arrived,
Yeah.
last week, and they're both because we also have two living rooms, but they're side by side, and,
Yeah.
a living room and a family room, but they're both basically video game playing rooms. And, it was a nightmare getting our old stuff into the basement because we decided to keep it because eventually our kids are gonna need furniture, you know, as we're almost to that point where they're gonna be established,
Yeah.
or
Yeah.
whatever. So, and it's in good condition, so we thought we would keep it. So Gerald managed to once again, seriously damage the knee he had surgery on in December. The couch got
Oh,
stuck. We had to dismantle the, railing on the stairs going down in the basement, bring the couch back up, have a friend come over, help carry it around the house and through the back. Nightmare. Yeah, the feng shui is a great idea, but I'm not moving anything.
yeah. We agreed on that then at least.
The
mean,
stuff's where it is, and there's no place else to put it, so that's it.
actually, see if you want to come up and move all my stuff about, and then head over to Maryland into it, and help
Yeah.
Mendy with hers, then you fire on in there, hen. But yeah. Sue says you're supposed to be looking for a new perspective, Mendy, with the hangman. Yeah, so the hangman was in the place of water. So we were looking specifically at the element of water there. So we were. So yeah, yeah. So yeah. Apparently I've lost the ability to speak now.
It
Don't know what that was. Um, I mean, I think it's been open to it with the hangman. It's almost like being willing to sacrifice something. It's not, you know, uproot your life and start again. It's like just be open to kind of things changing, things being a bit more fluid in order to achieve that. That outcome, or in order to open up that path to yourself. Um, what else have we got? Justin says, is it the home or the environment pertaining to her question? It could be community. Again, I to the page, looked at the page about, sorry, look to the page about the moving ground. The night echoes that constant change.
Okay.
Yeah. I mean, really, it could be the literal environment, or it could be the people, the people around about. It's
Yeah.
basically everything that isn't Mendy. Everything on the outside,
Yeah.
and how it applies to the situation. Um, there's Nancy. Hi, Nancy. How are you? Oh, there he is. Simon saying he's going to bed. Um, energy as in your essence. She got the wrong cut. Right. Okay. I thought that. The Knight of Wands and the Uggs. Um, in the pursuit of the imagined, I manifest this fire with the infectious feeling of inspiration. So it's all about this idea of kind of action in the realm of fire. But yeah, it's for me the Knight of Wands is the fire of fire. It is very much a high energy card. Feng Shui, does that have a connection with I Ching?
I Ching. I think I
Um,
Ching is like more geomancy, right? I don't know. I don't know anything about I Ching.
yeah, I think it's like a Chinese. I don't even know if it's numbers or symbols or words or whatever it is, but yeah. Justin says you should invite Vincent on to do this. I would love to see that exchange. I think that's
You
a bit beyond me, to be honest, Justin.
would need
If
to
I'm
start
totally
earlier because that would go very, very long.
honest. um, oh, Ashley says she should be in bed, but she loves this life. That's great. Thank you, Ashley. Um, yes. There's, Justin, I do not have the balls that you have. There's no way I would be going to. Um, I would have the confidence to go to Vincent and say, "You want to come in my channel? Let me read your cards." And that's probably exactly what it would sound like if I did. Right. So yeah, I'm seeing change in this reading, but the Eight of Pence is like stay still, do the same thing. I swear it should be reversed. But I'll stop saying that now. Uh, could it be forging ahead, building an online community rather than hometown or physical place? Okay. Right, okay. So Elaine's kind of honing in on the idea of, action and kind of creativity. I suppose ones are a lot about creativity. and with the night being so action based, um, and then given that the position is about the environment and maybe the people around about you, she's suggesting this idea of kind of creating this community. So that's quite an interesting thought, actually.
Yeah, it is.
Um, as she says, it's line, so this is I Ching. Anyhow, Mendy's on adept here and not headed into something new, or is she? Justice says the line. Right, now I need to explain that. So there's this meme, and it makes me laugh every single time. And it's basically a picture of it's like the Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe, the Narnia movie. It's like that picture. But it's the caption is the Lion, the Witch, and the audacity of this bitch.
Oh,
And I've sent that to him before. Like I think I've sent that to him a couple of times. Just I can't even remember what the context was, but I was
yeah.
obviously commenting on his audacity. But I think that was me saying I don't have his balls. Um. Anyway, right. Next card, the ninth, the penultimate card is all about hopes and fears. So this is maybe a wee bit of a glimpse into the current Mendy and what where you see the where you see yourself going with the ultimate Mendy. Um, so okay, look at the Queen of Pentacles, Queen of
Hmm.
Coins. Yeah, interesting to me. I mean, I love the Queen of Coins. The Queen of Coins is an amazing card, but it throws me a wee bit just because it doesn't feel right away. It doesn't feel consistent with how the rest of the reading's going. But what are your thoughts on that?
Um, well, my thought is that didn't I just pull that today? Hold on, let me look at my um no, that was yesterday. I pulled the Queen of Pence yesterday.
Right.
Um, I don't I don't know. I mean, I know it just doesn't feel like I feel like this whole other reading has been about more of a spiritual growth situation, and then to have the Queen of Earth as the hopes and fears.
Do you think do you think we're honing in on the fear there? There's a,
Maybe.
the Queen of Pentacles, of all the queens, she's probably the most down to earth, the most mundane, if you want to look at it that way. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Um, is it maybe this fear of mundanity and just like that if it's going to turn out that ultimately your path is somewhere a bit closer to earth than maybe what you would like it to be, because like you say, all throughout this, we've got this Hierophant, we've got the Hanged Man, we've got
But
all this.
that's the third coins in the
Yeah, yeah,
you
that's true.
know?
That's true. Um, but it's like, kind of, it's something that we kind of hope for and we strive for is the stability, that the Queen
Right.
brings. And she's not just related to Earth; she's related to water as well. She is a queen, and she does connect
Mhm.
with the people around about her.
Right.
Um, but it is this kind of, it's this kind of mother energy that I get from it all the time. Um, it is very much a safe space. I said that to you earlier on. Do you know what I mean? And I've said that to other people about this card. Um, you are very much a kind of a safe space for people. Do you know what I mean? When we were talking about this idea of being a teacher or not being a teacher. Um,
Yeah, a nurturer, right.
yeah, yeah. Um, but with the hope comes the fear of the kind of being too grounded, being too down to earth. Being almost
Right.
too stable and mundane. We almost kind of we seem to be kind of striving for this connection to something greater. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah, that does resonate. That makes sense.
Okay.
Sue said she just pulled that card for me. Interesting.
Right, okay. So
Yeah.
pulled that as well. Okay. Right, well that's hopes and fears. Let's continue on. Let's see what the last card does, and then we'll see what people's thoughts are. So the next card the next card is the kind of outcome card. It's the direction that things are heading in. And we've got the Queen's partner, the King of Coins, coming out here. So
I can't.
yeah, you can't see it. Sorry,
Yeah,
of
you
course. So we
really
have the last two cards are the Queen and King of Pentacles.
4 pentacles.
So, right, let's look at the positives of this card, right? Because the King of Pentacles is very much, he's in control of his environment. Everything around about him is stable, and he's a good guardian of that stability. He keeps everything in line. He's always got his eye on the bigger picture, and that is something, whether you want to be a an accountant, a successful accountant, or whether you want to be the wooiest of all the woos, whether you want to be I don't know, some sort of swamp witch that people only sees people once a month when they come to her for some sort of potion remedy for something. No matter what you want to be, you need that stability in your life. So given that things are heading in that direction, it seems to be, that's a positive. Now,
Yeah,
when we kind of pair it with the Queen and the fact that we seem to be kind of it's this mundanity that we're kind of almost averse to, that we're perhaps quite fearful of, it maybe suggests that there does need to be a bit of a change of direction. That something does need to change, and it doesn't have to be, like I say, it doesn't have to be a complete uproot, but it's just like the direction, the trajectory that things are currently going in is ending up with this King of Coins, and I guess it's just about asking yourself, is that where you want to end up? Now, you were quite when we were talking earlier on, and we were kind of we were just kind of having a joke, I guess, about like starting a tarot school and being a teacher and all that kind of thing. You that didn't really seem to be the your intended path and where you were,
right.
where you felt yourself being. Um, but yeah, anyway, I'm talking. What have you got any thoughts on that card?
I mean, it does feel like it's like overall the whole reading, like I'm really kind of, I guess, fixated on the number of coins
Mm,
pulled in this whole reading
yeah,
because overall, earth is my least element. Like, if you look at my chart, it's very evenly fire and then water and air with very little earth. And earth is the element I'm drawn to the least.
right.
But I'm seeing all of this earth here when asking the question about who am I supposed to be?
Yeah,
And
yeah,
that's kind of like a little bit of a unexpected revelation, I guess.
right.
It
Mm,
doesn't like it doesn't jive with who I think I am and who, I uh, but in reality, stability, I'm incredibly stable person, right? So it doesn't jive with who I guess I've always pictured myself as being, I should
yeah,
say. I'm a freaking Sagittarius. That's right. This is you don't it's just not but really in reality, it does kind of make sense, but maybe it's me accepting, you know, um, what is her name? I can never, oh, Furhan, oh gosh, I can't think of her name. She has a YouTube channel. She's a nurse. She wrote a book about folk magic, Italian folk magic. I can't think of her name. But she said something when talking about like she's been going through like this whole transition with unloading decks and things and getting back to the reader that she thinks she is. And one of the things that she said that really, really resonated with me and stood out is that she was getting rid of all these decks she's bought over the last couple of years because she didn't even know who she bought those decks for because they weren't for her. They were the person that the reader, the tarot reader she thought she should be.
Right.
Right? The tarot reader she pictured herself being, but they weren't. And that kind of resonated with me in that who am I really in the things that I do versus who in my head I picture myself being. Does that make sense? Or am I just rambling? It's I think that's something I need to take a closer look with. Because it's, it's really, you're not going to move forward in anything if you are working on the premise that you're somebody you're not.
Yeah, I know what you mean. It just when it makes me kind of think deeper about like when we ask that question, like what do I need to do to be my true self or my best self or all that kind of thing, and we kind of touched on it when we talked about this card here. It's like being your best self, it's not about having this goal, this end game, this thing that you're aiming for. It's about the small things. It's about the decisions that you make every single day in life, getting up in the morning and aiming to be that best self. Some days, your best self is just like kind of doing something nice for somebody. Do you know what I mean?
Right.
Taking Gerald a cup of tea up while he's in bed, making Gerald breakfast in bed. Do you know what I mean? That could be for you
Doors
that day.
ideas.
You
Doors open. I don't want him to get ideas.
oh dear. But it's like it's this idea that you know it is an ongoing thing, and it's something that we should be kind of chipping away at every day. Kind of like in this, it's not like I think like it's kind of like what we were saying before about this idea of there being this perfect person and you just need to get closer and closer and ultimately step into them and then that's it. Like it doesn't work like that. And when we when I actually look at like the very first card that we pulled, very much like pretty much fully, nines are about completion too, yeah. So depending on your numerology and all that, this is someone who's really accomplished, you know, and the earth element. And then these two are
And then,
people who are really accomplished in the earth element. When you look at like how we're starting and how we're ending, it's not about like it's not about making a big massive change and then wham bam that's
yeah.
everything's on track. You're already your perfect, amazing, best self every single day. And it's just about continuing that work. I think. Um, but yeah, and I'm kind of neglecting the people in the chat a wee bit. And let's go back and see what people are saying. So, Queen of Pence, I enjoy my deeply connected life, and I've messed up the cards here, haven't I? I've kind of put them everywhere. And I lead it with an outpouring of warmth, abundance, and love. I personally see that whatever was pent up in the soul card being released. King, I dream my endless potential into existence with steady desire and effort.
Okay.
Okay.
And that the effort goes back to the Eight of Pentacles.
Yeah. Yeah, chipping away at it every day.
Steady effort.
Keep your goals practical and realistic, says Justin. Sue says, where is that damn magician? Uh, um, Smart targets, small and specific, manageable, measurable, achievable, realistic, relevant, time bound, which can be ongoing. You are incredible, Mendy. It comes back to that trust in yourself, says Jen. Maybe look at the soul card and put yourself in the position of the mountain range. Do things look different from there? So let's just kind of bring the soul card back down.
So that's seeing yourself on the earth, more grounded.
Yeah, pop it there. So she's just kind of reiterating the idea of having targets. Do you gardens is
No.
gifted that book to my sister-in-laws.
Mary Grace. Yeah, Mary Grace Verhan is the name of the person.
Right. To me, decks are just part of a library. The deck plays very little of a role.
Yeah, no, I was just using that as an example of where I got that concept from.
The strength card points to that as well, really wrestling with who you are, or who you think you are. Carl Jung said individuation was that process, and it's a natural process. As we get older, we discover who we are, we revert back to who we were when we were children. I really should get the soul cards. I think I had the first deck once, but I can't find it. Children are more individuated than adults. Life separates us. Sue says, try doing this reading again in 3 months. I reckon it will look very different. And then talking about the soul card again, or literally as the mountain range, how does it feel to be a mountain and that big face bearing down on you? Yeah, see, I now find it difficult to see that as mountains. I can just see water now. Yeah. So I'm trying to kind of do this in such a way that we can at least get most of all of the cards in the picture. Let me move this away. God's sake. Right, and then if I kind of do something that looks a bit like this, then we're kind of got them. And then I'll just hold this. So yeah. So what were the kind of really hard hitting cards? I really like the strength card in that reading. I think the strength was a nice card, and I started talking rubbish about it, but what you said about it really kind of seemed to bring it home. This idea of the inner critic.
Yeah, well, I thought you and I were basically saying the same thing on how we viewed the strength card. I
Yeah,
was just from my own perspective and my thoughts in the air position.
yeah. Malamir's back. So in terms of the overall question then, so we were asking what do you need to do to be your best self? I really got, I mean, the overriding overall conclusion that I get from that is you're already your best self. But it's just like kind of think about the wee things that you can do every day. Definitely there was stuff in there about the environment. Is there kind of changes that you can make either to the community, the people around about you, or like the environment that you're in? like
Mhm.
whether it's kind of tuning out from it, whether it's actually physically moving yourself to somewhere else, just to like kind of
Yeah, well, and somebody mentioned, online community and things like that, and I think
yeah,
maybe that is also my whole depth year is making changes, the changes that I'm making while it's not my physical environment, it's kind of my headspace environment, if that makes
yeah,
sense. It's,
yeah,
um, changing the way I'm approaching things.
yeah,
Uh, and a lot of that has to do with my online interaction and community trying, I've taken Facebook off my phone and just trying to utilize my time in a more focused manner than just, spending countless hours.
yeah.
Um, so
Just be a bit more mindful, I guess, isn't it? Like,
the mindfulness, I think, is just be more mindful about my time and what I'm consuming,
yeah,
and creating more of a focused approach to things.
hmm
And
something that just struck me there just now when I was looking at the cards that are on the table. See, in the Earth position, I've got quite a high water energy card.
Mhm.
When you think about how like the difference in stability between Earth and water,
Right.
the Earth beneath our feet is supposed to be solid, but it's almost like we're swimming instead of walking there. And again, it kind of to me it ties up nicely with this high energy environment that's around about you, kind of thing.
Yeah.
Just a random thought, nothing really that profound. It was just um, thank you, Justin.
That's very true, Justin.
Um, yeah. Any other kind of is anyone in the room got any other thoughts, on the reading as a whole, looking back at the soul card, any kind of concluding final thoughts that they want to kind of put out there just now for Mendy? Or Mendy, have you got any kind of last thoughts?
Not really. I think I really need to absorb this. There's a lot.
Yeah.
I think there's a lot to unpackage. I mean, we did a lot of unpackaging, but
Mhm.
I think I need to give some thought to this and journal about it. Journaling's I can't really absorb a reading until I've written about it. It's just,
Yeah,
you know,
yeah, yeah, definitely. Um, so let's see. Which ties into the first card where we thought mountains could be water. Yeah, that's a good point, Diane.
good point.
Um, we often think of focus as having a tight grip and control, but there can be focus and relaxing into things and connecting with that intuitive self.
Very true, Ishi. That's very true.
Yeah, yeah. And with the first two cards that we pulled, it seems to be it's Mendy's unconscious self was where we got that high stability, that high earth, um, and the conscious self was like that kind of hierophant energy, that kind of change that we associate with the five, So yeah, I don't know where I was going with that.
Well, what
But
is the Hierophant? What element does the Hierophant associate with? Is that an earth element too? Because I feel like it is.
good question. Let's see. Oh yeah, it's Taurus, isn't it? So yeah, it would be. Yeah, ruled by Taurus. So yeah, um that would be Earth as well.
Yeah.
Aye, there you go. Yep, Earth, Taurus. The water is over the mountains in both cards. Um, and so into that, the mountains and the soul cards. I don't know if, and so into that, the mountains and the soul cards are switching between earth and water after the sea. Yeah, that's that. Right. Okay, so that's the golden on system. Okay, cool.
All right.
Do you need me to take a picture of this reading and send it to you? And I'll obviously put it back into a nicer format, and I can take a picture and send it to you for your kind of journaling purposes.
I would really appreciate that. Yes.
Yeah, I'll do that for you.
Yes. And
Um,
thank you to everybody who participated in this. This was really, it was really a great reading. There's a lot to think about.
yeah, I'm glad you enjoyed it. I'm glad it was, it's giving you stuff to think about and it was meaningful for you. I suppose that's all we can really ask for, isn't it?
Yeah.
I really appreciate you coming on and doing this with me, Mendy.
I mean, I absolutely adore this whole format thing that you have going on. I love it. I love watching you do it with other people, and I've really enjoyed doing it with you.
Yeah, no, that's great. I'm glad. And thanks very much to everyone in the chat as well, because without you guys, it would just be my random stream of consciousness that Mendy would be getting hit with, and I get a feeling that it should it should be getting annoyed with me after the first couple of cards. um, so yeah, for everyone that's still here and for everyone that's kind of watched all the way through, I know it's been a long live. We're coming up for
Yeah.
um, we're over 2.5 hours now. So thank you so much. Have a great weekend. If I don't speak to you before, then have a great weekend. Justin, you shush. I've just seen your last comment now. Yeah, have a great weekend, guys. Thank you so much. And I shall speak to you all soon.
Thanks, everyone.